Hi guys, this is Gaming with Silverstone. Today, we're on part 25 of Home Gym. What I'm gonna do is continue on constructing the containment part, in which because I'm making this a room on its own. Kind of like how it is at a fitness center, at most apartment complexes. You do that. I was talking to my mom. That's all. With how I've changed over the course of the past 2 years is I've gotten leaner. One of the obvious things that has changed is the fact that I've gotten pretty lean. I'm pretty lean, actually. It's not just due to my intense physical training regimen. It's also due to what I'm eating, too. Because if you want a lot of protein without going into ketosis, eat a lot of carbs, too. Not just protein. Try to keep fat consumptions minimized. It kind of explains how I end up gaining muscle so quickly as a natural lifter. It's not just about having good genetics, the right kind of genetics that'll allow you to gain a shit ton of muscle in a short period of time. You gotta take into account what you're eating, too. The high carb, high protein requirement, for me, it has the best results. Carbs and protein are my most important macros when bulking up. When cutting down, I'd still eat the same type of macros, but I'd go into a caloric deficit when I start cutting down to get even leaner. I'll be saving the protein powder for when I start cutting down. Because the goal is to get extremely shredded. Because I'm determined to become a bodybuilder. Because I know most jobs won't hire me because of my autism. There's a lot of discrimination against people on the autism spectrum. What we need is autism acceptance, not a cure. I'd rather stay autistic for the rest of my life. with. Sometimes I get sidetracked, and that's okay. It's part of my autism. I love to browse at stores sometimes. Whether it be online or hands-on browsing. Hands-on browsing is more interactive. I think hands-on browsing is a lot better, because you can actually interact with the devices as you browse. I think hands-on browsing is better, because you can actually interact with the devices while browsing. One way vegans can get their B12 supplements: foods fortified with B12. Like soy milk, almond milk, cashew milk, coconut milk. In other ways, and I know this next way of getting your B12 is kind of unhealthy. Sometimes I get my B12 through energy drinks. I know they're not healthy because they have too much caffeine. Too much caffeine can fuck with your heart. I know they're unhealthy mainly because some of them have a lot of sugar. If you have heart problems, definitely stay the hell away from them. With the energy drinks, I go sugar-free with mine. Because the goal is because I want to get even leaner. There are a couple biological reasons. A lot of it, the biggest reason why junk food tastes so good, a lot of it has to do with the biological factors. Because in nature, we tend to go for the foods which don't require a lot of energy to digest and absorb. Like foods high in sodium, fats, and sugars. It's kind of based on our natural instincts when it goes to food. A lot of it's because that's what we survived on in the Stone Age. Before the FDA, we had to taste test our food to make sure it was safe for consumption. If it tasted bitter, that meant it was poisonous, probably. So there's a biological reason behind why junk food tastes so good. Because a lot of the healthy stuff tends to taste kind of bitter. If you have a disdain towards bitter-tasting stuff, even as an adult, you might probably gonna have to blame it on your genetics for this one. Because it's not just you. It has to deal It's not just... If their parents have a disdain towards bitter tasting stuff, there's a chance they're going to have the same disdain. I was able to overcome my disdain towards bitter tasting stuff. Because normally when I drink coffee now, I don't put sweetener nor creamer in it. One of the nastiest stunts in the movie Saw is the reverse bear trap. The reverse bear trap, instead of it closing in, it actually opens up, tearing your face up. Open. Tearing your face open. It's kind of gross. It literally tears your face open. It's kind of gross. It's kind of a disturbing way. It's one of the disturbing methods Jigsaw used to kill people. Those who survived ended up becoming his apprentice. Who survived Jigsaw's death traps ended up becoming his apprentices of Jigsaw. The apprentice of Jigsaw. And his evil clown puppet Billy. Because he looks like an evil clown. You know, the guy that says, "I want to play a game," in Saw. That evil clown puppet. I want to play a game. Yeah, that guy. In my TV series, for a Halloween special, I might make a parody of Saw. Like, complete with the death traps. And due to all the graphic things that'll happen, it'll probably be rated TV-14. Mainly due to the graphic imagery. Like, TV counterpart to TV14 is PG. Like, the movie counterpart to TV14 is PG-13. But mature audiences, the movie counterpart to TVMA is rated R. Or NC-17. Like with the Halloween special, it would be non-canon. It'd be more of a what-if scenario. Kind of like with Dead Rising 2 Off the Record. Like how it's a what-if scenario. Kind of like that. If GTA 5 was made into a movie, it'll probably be rated R. Because of all the violence. The heaviest man in the world weighed 1,400 pounds. Yes, that weight on a person is kind of painful, but he couldn't help it because of a disordered pituitary gland. His pituitary gland was in a state of disorder, which meant he couldn't help it. Despite his parents' efforts to restrict his diet, he couldn't help it. It wasn't his parents' fault either, nor was it his fault. It was due to a birth defect he had that affected his pituitary gland, but not necessarily the hypothalamus. The fattest man ever recorded ended up going to 1,400 pounds not because of a constant urge to eat, but because of a malfunctioning pituitary gland that he was unfortunately born with. Unfortunately, he was born with it. Which meant, and when talking about obesity, one of the risk factors can be present at birth. That risk factor would be kind of related to your birth weight. Your birth weight is one of the risk factors of obesity you cannot control. It's one of the risk factors that you cannot control. macrosomia, basically you're born overweight. That's what macrosomia is. Like, that basically means you're born overweight. Some of the people who are overweight have been overweight since birth, as a result of a condition called macrosomia. One of the risk factors of it would be gestational diabetes. It can happen in an otherwise healthy pregnant woman who was never overweight to begin with. Because all the sugar ends up going into the baby instead of the mother, in the case of gestational diabetes. One of the most obvious signs of type 2 diabetes is polyphagia, polyuria, and polydipsia. Which respectively means increased appetite, increased urination, and increased thirst. Why is type 2 diabetes rising all over the on the rise all over the world? One of the factors is our waistlines are getting big relative to our bodies. Bigger relative to our bodies. To our arms and legs. But sumo wrestlers don't have that risk, even though they're obviously overweight. And a lot of it's because of where their body stores the fat. They store fat differently. The defect in the pituitary gland was something that the fattest man in the world couldn't help, because he was born with it. And it wasn't his fault that he got fat. He got fat as a result of birth defect that affected his pituitary gland. It wasn't his fault, nor was it his parents' fault. It wasn't his fault. I know it wasn't your fault that you ended up going to 1,400 pounds. Because the problem was you had a birth defect that caused you to get that heavy. If you're, is that, yes, I'm, as referring to, as using the word you, to refer to the 1,400 pound guy. I wasn't referring to the audience. Not all cases of obesity are preventable. There's only so much you can do to prevent it. One of the things we can do that'll prevent obesity in the long term, over generations to come, would be to clean the air that we breathe by reducing dependence on fossil fuels. We should all band together and invest in renewable resources, like solar, wind, geothermal, stuff like that. We should also stop using BPA in our canned goods. Even though quitting smoking can cause weight gain, it's actually a good idea to quit smoking. That's because tobacco smoke damages your lungs. Like, it does irreversible damage after just one cigarette. The more cigarettes you smoke throughout your life, the more damage your lungs would have to deal with. Like, the more damage your lungs become. This is why I don't smoke. This is why I don't smoke. I'd rather get a workout, and I'd rather get a good workout. And if you, plus, nicotine also primes your brain for addiction to other drugs too, like cocaine, morphine, heroin, stuff like that. Even more so than marijuana. Alcohol primes your brain for those addictions too, more so than marijuana. Marijuana? Those who smoke marijuana are at the lowest risk of drug addiction compared to all the other drug users. Can't we just hector overweight people into getting them to lose weight? Some of them just can't help it. The main reason is some of the overweight people can't help it. They can't. Regardless, some of them would end up staying overweight despite changes to their diet. Because sometimes the cause of obesity can lie within problems in the endocrine system. Can lie within endocrine diseases. Like kind of like the case of the heaviest man ever. His obesity was not the result of his constant urge to eat. It was due to a defect he had in his pituitary gland. Couldn't help it because he was like, there was nothing his parents could do to prevent it because it was a birth defect. Because it was a birth defect he had. Another thing, one thing Michelle Obama didn't understand is that there are risk factors of obesity that some of the populations, some of the specimens within the population cannot control. One of the risk factors is birth weight. As always, this is Gaming with Alston signing off. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next video. Until next time. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook for more content like this. As always, Gaming with Alston signing off. Until next time. Bye.